Hello and welcome to another episode of Life Stuff 101. This is day 10 of the series of mini episodes as part of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. My name is Mio Yokoi. I work as a registered psychotherapist in Toronto, Canada, and also as a coach and supporter to striving, highly sensitive folks everywhere. And before we begin, I'd like to make sure to mention that what I share on this podcast is for general information purposes only and not meant to be specific advice. And for personalized help, questions, or concerns you may have, please consult your doctor, appropriate medical or mental healthcare provider. Welcome to day 10 of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge. The goal here is to give you a little daily something to add a bit of structure to your day to help with self-care. It's my hope that by building in some time for daily self-care might help to support your emotional and mental health during this time. Or even if these daily prompts serve as a few minutes of distractions in your day, I hope that can help too. And I'll also make sure to repeat in every one of these challenge episodes that at this time in our lives, just getting through daily, minute by minute, moment by moment, in and of itself is a lot. These daily self-care prompts are here to support you. So this challenge isn't about productivity or doing things right or perfectly. Please remember that it's about self-care. And if you'd like to be notified when each of these episodes are uploaded, you can either subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts or go on over to lifestuff101.com/challenge, which has a list of every episode. Also, any resources that are mentioned during the episodes are listed in the show notes, which can be found on each of the episode pages at lifestuff101.com. So for instance, if you are looking for resources that I might mention in today's episode, you can go to lifestuff101.com/day 10, and the number of the day would be digits. So lifestuff101.com/day 10. So before we dive into the day 10 of the challenge, the day 9 challenge prompt was make a list of the trusted people in your life. So one of the things that I did not mention in yesterday's episode, and this isn't necessarily something that you need to add to your list, but it's also possible that one of those trusted people in your life can be a mental health care provider or professional, a therapist, a psychotherapist, a psychologist, a counselor, or a coach. Psychotherapy or counseling can be helpful if people are experiencing some level of mental or emotional distress. And often that is when people do seek out mental health professional help. Now, another way I like to actually think about the role of therapists, coaches, counselors, and so forth, or it may be in the same ways as having a position or to know that you can have someone to be there for you to help support your mental health, just like in the same ways that you would have a doctor or a massage therapist or a chiropractor and a dentist, that you can have a therapist, counselor, coach in your circle of care in the same ways that you might have in other areas of how you take care of your health. In other words, a therapist does not necessarily need to be consulted when someone might be in a situation where they're feeling distressed. It's my belief that it can be helpful for folks to have a space, whether it is with a professional or perhaps someone who, again, one of the trusted people in your life, to have some dedicated time where you can sit and reflect and to process what may be going on for you at any given time in life. So with that said, whether you may already have a therapist, a counselor, or a coach whom you trust, who may also be on your list, or maybe you're considering at this time that you would like to have that mental health care provider or professional as part of your circle of care, especially at this time while we're social distancing and self-isolating. Many mental health care providers are providing their services online, and there are also online services of websites that provide listings and directories of therapists and counselors who provide their services through the platform that's available on those websites. If you are looking for online therapy, I think that I don't actually have any personal experience with these services, but some that you may wish to look up is by Googling online therapy. And a few of the services that come up is BetterHelp, I think, which is one of the ones that have been around for a while. There's Talkspace and a number of others. If this is a route that you're considering going, I would suggest that you do your research and to see which one is the best fit for you. And while I don't have the definitive information about this, where you are and who you work with can matter. So, for instance, if you're located in the United States, the therapist that you work with needs to be in the same state as you. Whereas in other parts of the world and where I am in Toronto, Canada, there is not as strict, I guess, as restrictions as there may be in the States in terms of providing mental health care support. So please also look into that as well, like based on where you're located and who you would like and the location of the person with whom you'd like to work. I'd also like to mention that one of my guests, and she'll actually be returning to talk about anxiety. Her name is Nina K. Moore. She is a coach who helps with folks dealing with anxiety, and she is also providing her services online. So if you would like to reach out to her, you can get more information about her and her services at ninakmoore.com. I'd love to know how you made out with day 9 of the challenge. Who are some of the trusted people you added to your list? And would you consider adding a mental health care professional or a provider on your list as well? Please reach out to me on Twitter at LifeStuff101pod, on Instagram at LifeStuff101podcast, or on the website at LifeStuff101.com. Now it's time to get into day 10. Get up on a regular basis. So physical distancing and self-isolation has led to us being at home. And home, for I think many of us, isn't a place where we find ourselves standing. And I live in an apartment space in Toronto, Canada, downtown. And there isn't a whole lot of space for myself or my husband or my cats, in fact, to be moving around. And so I noticed that I am sitting more than usual. I'm not standing as much as I am used to standing or even moving around. And while physical exercise and movement is something that is important, especially right now, to take care of ourselves physically and mentally, it's also, I think, just as important for us to just get up. And otherwise, I think that we can find ourselves sitting on either our chairs or on the sofa or even lying down on the bed. Maybe even before this current situation where we're self-isolating and being at home, you might have known that sitting is not something that is good for our overall health. And so you might have heard of treadmill desks or standing desks, all kinds of things like that. I'd imagine that most of us at home, especially those of us who don't generally work at home, may not have access to something like a standing desk or, goodness, like a treadmill desk or something like that. But I think more than ever, it is good for us to be cognizant and intentional about making sure that we at least get up very regularly, because it is so important for us to be taking good care of ourselves during this difficult time. Here are your steps for today's challenge. Step 1. During your waking hours today, commit to getting up at least once every hour. The most reliable way I've found is to set an alarm every hour to remind you to get up. So what I've done is I actually have on my iPhone, on my clock app, an alarm that's set to every hour on the hour. And when I do something like this kind of a challenge, what I'll do is I'll go into the app and to activate every hour for the alarm to go off every hour on the hour. And that way I set it up first thing in the morning when I get up, and it'll prompt me every hour by the alarm for me to be able to do whatever task it is. And in this case is to get up. Just to get up from my chair or get up from wherever I am, and it'll remind me to do that. Step 2, at the appointed time, every hour, stand up and have a nice deep stretch and take 3 slow, deep breaths. You might also decide to take a quick walk to another part of your home or take the opportunity to get yourself a fresh glass of water. Step 3, repeat for every hour you're awake today. I'd love to hear about your thoughts about today's challenge, and I'd also like to know how you're doing. Please reach out to me on Twitter at LifeStuff101pod or on Instagram at LifeStuff101podcasts or on the website at LifeStuff101.com. So that's day 10 of the Challenging Time Self-Care Challenge. Make sure to get up on a regular basis today. Thank you for participating in these challenges, and stay tuned tomorrow for day 11 of the Self-Care Challenge. Until then, please stay safe and in good health wherever you are in the world, and I'll be speaking with you again for day 11 of the Challenging Times Self-Care Challenge real soon.